and gents, welcome back to Pitstop! I love how you always join me with that every single time. It really adds to it.
Yeah, it's like a song now, isn't it? I have to be perfectly in time. Some people have commented at home saying that they do the way with us.
We need an audience here, don't we?
We do.
We need to set up some beanbags and have a few people sit with us.
That would be the dream. We want the show to feel like everyone's involved, and there's been a lot of people commenting like that, which is nice. We want it to feel like you're in on the conversation with us.
Exactly. We've got a lot of new listeners and watchers, so we've added a third camera.
We
for this
did,
one.
we did. However, we may not use it. It might come out horrendous.
True, yeah, true.
There is a chance this YouTube video has 3 cameras, and there's a chance it doesn't. We have something to celebrate.
We do.
Because we asked on the last YouTube video if we can try and get 1,000 likes. And at this time, right now, the video has 1,300 likes. So yay!
Hey, and another one!
Let's go! Oh, we got to do the other one as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, 1 sec.
Hey! Big thanks to everyone who liked the vid. I think you said 1,000 likes, and within like 2 hours we had 1,000 likes.
It was very, very quick. It's amazing. The videos are doing so. Look at you, you're absolutely covered in that stuff now.
It feels great because it was the one platform that I have always loved since I was a kid. You know, Instagram, TikTok are great, but YouTube for me is like where it's at.
Yeah.
So I love being able to. I feel like we're building a little bit of an army as well because like we would post videos in the past and they'd get like 50 views in the first half an hour, and now we're seeing like a whole bunch of people come straight away, and the comments have been unbelievable. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, love reading the comments. So if you don't normally comment and you're watching right now, please comment something. Let us know what you're doing with no race. Let us know who you think is going to win the championship. Comment wherever you want. It's great to see them.
And please subscribe.
Yeah, go on, drop a subscription. That would be lovely. I'm not going to ask for a certain amount of likes today because I've been blown away by 1,000, but it's up to you guys to show us what you can do. So if you haven't liked the video yet, just going to give you a couple of seconds to do that.
Yeah.
There you go. Well done. Anyway,
Thanks.
George
Nice one.
Russell. You know where I'm going with
breaking
this.
news. It is breaking news.
This is pretty breaking, and we need to talk about it because I am not happy about this one bit.
Really?
George Russell has apparently been speaking to Red Bull.
Yes.
Now, I think that is a horrendous idea. We've obviously spoke about this before. We actually spoke about this like 4 months ago. We said that this would become a problem or become an option for him.
An option. I'd call it an option.
Yeah.
It's a happy problem, isn't it?
The main thing here is like it's not 100% that Max is going to leave. I mean, if he does, it's probably going to be Aston. But George is going to have to go somewhere.
Well, let's look into the nitty-gritty of it, right? Yeah. So we know that Toto's working on a contract. Okay?
Yeah.
We've understood that. Hasn't been signed yet.
No.
As far as we know, George's contract ends at the end of this year. So until 007 signs on that dotted line, he hasn't got a contract with Mercedes next year. And it's not just Red Bull that he's been talking to. He's also been seen talking to Alpine and also Zach Brown. At the end of last year, at the Singapore Grand Prix, Christian Horner said that George was absolutely an option. And he's definitely on his radar. I mean, how could he not be?
Yeah.
He's put in such a great performance. I think you would question why George would go to Red Bull, considering how the cars looked this year and how great Mercedes have looked this year. But as you said, all the cars are starting from zero next year. New regulations, whether you like them or not, they're happening. And all it takes is for Christian Horner to put down a really convincing case to George. All he has to do is sit across from him and look down at him and just give him a really great storyline about how great their car's going to be.
What do you reckon that conversation would go like?
There would have been lots of and yeah, and a bit of that from George. There would have, I just think, Christian, he's very good, isn't he? He's very good at talking. He's very good at getting around situations, manipulating storylines and this, that, and the other. And I think if anyone's going to convince a driver to move to Red Bull, it's going to be Christian.
If Max doesn't go to Mercedes, George will definitely stay.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Max is going to Mercedes. After seeing Toto speak about it the other day, I can't imagine George at Red Bull. I don't think he'd fit in very well. I imagine him and Helmut Marko. We spoke about it before, but genuinely, what would that dinner be like? Like, what would they talk about?
Red Bull is the evil villain. All right. Yeah. However you want to picture it, Red Bull is that evil kind of, do you know what I mean? George has got a halo. He's a saint. Do you know what I mean? George, he wouldn't fit in at Red Bull.
It's like watching a James Bond movie and halfway through James Bond goes, I'm going to switch to the other side, and then starts attacking the Secret Service.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to use a water pistol instead. It wouldn't really make sense. But here's a question for you then. Here's one for you. What other teams do you think George would fit in at?
Well, interesting you said Alpine, because I do think there could be movement at Alpine. I seriously think that they only got Colapinto, like we said, to just try and sell him on for more.
Cash.
One thing is for sure, there's going to be a lot of changes, but Alpine will have a Mercedes engine. You know, if he's going from Mercedes, maybe he knows he wants to stay with that engine. The only way Max is leaving that team is if he knows next year they haven't got a quick car. That'd be the only reason he'd want to leave, and because Adrian Newey is something coming in today's pod about that.
Well, I think if Red Bull looked tasty next year, and they had a convincing case about their car.
Red Bull does always look tasty, mate.
I do
like a Red Bull, I can't lie.
That. I'm drinking a cream soda for some reason. Don't really know why. Just found it in the fridge. I think if Red Bull were looking like they were going to be good next year, I could see a potential, and we've spoke about this before, Lando to Red Bull, George to McLaren. I'm not saying that it would happen, but I could see George in a McLaren, not in a Red Bull.
If Oscar won the championship at McLaren, there's probably a much higher chance there of that happening.
George can handle his emotions. Oscar can handle his emotions. I think they'd be great teammates. Just putting it out there.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. In my dream world, George just signs for Mercedes, gets it done. Him and Kimi just run away with it. Mercedes are apparently going to be great next year. I want either one of them to win a world championship. It would be unbelievable to see. But I don't want George anywhere else, really. I think Mercedes is like his home. He's come up through Williams, then gone to Mercedes. I think he's such a good fit for that team. And I really don't imagine him anywhere else. Be interested to know what you watching or listening think. Where do you think George should go, or what do you think will happen?
Yeah, leave a comment below.
But it does look like Max is going to go to Aston Martin. And the team principal of Aston Martin has said something pretty crazy.
Before you go any further, you're quite sweaty. So just in case you don't want to lift your arm up on the pod.
How bad's the sweat patch?
Quite bad.
Would you reckon the camera can pick that up?
Yeah. So just as a word of, just for the clips.
Yeah. All right. Let me just read.
I just didn't. Do you know what I mean? I'm just advice.
Is it really bad?
You can't see the other arm because you're holding the mic, but this one was up here and it was all
right,
sweaty.
Maybe for the rest of the pod, I'm gonna be keeping my arm down. Aston Martin team principal Andy Cow has said something pretty fascinating about Adrian Newey.
Moo.
Yeah, cows everywhere. We know that Adrian Newey is one of the best designers of all time.
Of course.
And we know that he wants Max Verstappen at the team next year.
Of course.
Andy Cow has said that Adrian Newey hasn't been coming to meetings, hasn't been responding to his emails. No one can get hold of him.
You're lying.
Because he is so focused on the 2026 car.
Wow.
He's literally hiding away in a room with his team, building an unbelievable machine.
Wow.
How exciting would that be for Max? He gave Max an unbelievable car.
I picture Adrian as the kind of bloke who he knows it's a whole process. He has to go through the discomfort. So I reckon his room at Aston Martin, Lawrence would have offered him anything. You can have one of those desks that goes up and down with a hydraulic. You can have a mini fridge with all the drinks and snacks that you want. And I reckon Adrian was like, no, I want a pitch black room with a single lamp. I want it on an old oak desk, like the same desk that he used when he was in school 700 years ago. And he's got it's like a solitary confinement room with padded walls and that. And he only uses a certain Bic pen or something. Do you know what I mean?
Probably.
I reckon he has those things in place because, I just think that's why he's the best.
Very precise guy. That's one thing for sure. Walking down the grid with his clipboard, taking notes of all the cars last year, even though Red Bull were winning everything, still looking at everything, taking everything in.
That's the difference, isn't it? It's like he would walk down the pit with a clipboard of all these notes. You and me would have a clipboard of pictures of dicks on it or something. You know what I mean? He's that kind of guy. That's how much prep it takes to be the best.
He has a win rate in Formula One all time of 19.7%. And just imagine what he's doing at Aston with the resources he's been given. New factory, wind tunnel, everything. I think it's exciting times ahead for Aston.
Agreed. I think they have the most power behind them, So if anyone's going to do it, it's not just Adrian, is it? It's like you got Honda going to Aston Martin next year. Potentially, dancing around the idea that there's Max there. So many new people have joined the team at Aston. They're really building a bit of an empire. So, if your money was going to be anyone, we don't bet on the Formula One, but maybe we should.
No, I was going to bet on Oscar to win the championship this year when he was like 10-1. I should have done that.
Maybe we should do that.
I know, we've completely lost out.
Try and finally earn some cash.
It would be interesting to know whether it's going to be Fernando or Lance, though, that would teammate him. Fernando has been coming out a lot in the last week after Saudi saying he's not happy. Like, he still has no points. It would be crazy if Fernando doesn't get any points in F1 this year.
Well, Fernando did say that, he's very happy being part of the team. So whether he stays as a driver or not, he's very down to earth, and he's very aware that he's getting older. I don't think he's really lost his reaction times.
No.
If you compare him to like Lewis, for instance, Lewis has been beating himself up so much recently, and I'll get into that a bit later on, but I think Alonso's still got it, and I think he could still race next year and the year after. But if he can't race anymore, he decides he doesn't want to race anymore, he says he would be really happy having a more senior role at the team behind the scenes and pushing this team forward. And he said he would still feel an accomplishment if the team won the championship after that and he was a part of it.
But he's a manager now as well, isn't he? He's got other things going on, like looking after young drivers. Martin Brundle and Jenson Button had a fascinating chat about this.
Did they?
And they were talking about how when you get older as a driver, it's not necessarily that you lose your love for driving or even the ability to actually drive. It's like the physical things, like your vision gets smaller, your reactions get a little bit slower. You can't quite see as far. Just everything that you can't actually do anything about. You just age. So even though he's still got it and can put in them overtakes and that, when it actually comes down to it, maybe it is slowly starting to drift and he just doesn't want it to stop. It would be so annoying for a driver. After all them years and them world championships, you'd be thinking, it's so annoying that I just can't see that anymore or can't feel it.
Yeah, I think you have to just age gracefully. You need to understand that this happens to everyone and be happy with what you've achieved. He's a 2-time world champion who has had a really long career in Formula One, more than most people really get. I think he will do this, but it's about putting down the sword, putting down the shield, retreat into the castle, and just fulfilling a different role. And be happy with what you've done. And I think he would do that.
Well, in that case, we'll have 2026 with Lance Stroll on the quickest car in the grid, maybe, which is going to be quite something.
I think Lawrence would give him a year.
Definitely.
You've got the car now, Show me what you can do.
Imagine how much Lance would flip if he got kicked out and then Aston Martin won the championship in 2026.
Crazy.
He'd never go to dinner again, would he?
He never would.
He would know, so it's just never going to happen. He could shut us all up. He could absolutely shut us all up. At the start of next year, he could be on the podium every week.
That would be something to see, wouldn't it?
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind hearing the Canadian national anthem. I wouldn't mind seeing something different.
Same, yeah.
I'd be all behind it, to be honest. I'd want him to compete with Max. There'd be no point having Max so far ahead, would there? You'd want Lance to fight him.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
And it's Lance's dad's team, so there's going to be no team orders there. What do you mean, Dad?
He would have it in his hands. What a weird world we'd be living in if Lance Stroll won the championship next year.
Do you know what? I actually might put a bet on that. Like now.
Yeah.
Because the odds on it now would probably be quite high.
True.
Maybe I'll do that and come back on the next pod and let you know what odds
So much to look forward to next year. I want to take these people on a little flat tour.
Do you?
Yeah, I do, yeah. 20 minutes in.
What do you want to show them?
I think they should just see. All they see is from this perspective, and they see this. And I think they should just see a bit more.
Okay.
We haven't really tidied the house. I don't think it's that messy. So what I'm going to do is grab my phone.
What's made you want to do this?
Because, like I said earlier, I think the people who have been with us since the very beginning have kind of known our story, right? The people who have been watching us for 2 years, 3 years, they know that we're all completely DIY and we do everything ourselves. And I still see some comments these days that people just have a misconception of us and how we're here and why we're here, and they think maybe we're funded or maybe we've been put here.
I wish we were funded. If anyone wants to fund us.
I know, right? So it would be nice for everyone to know that this is not a studio. This is our flat. I still speak to people. I was getting my hair cut the other day and Barbara was like, oh, where's your studio? Is it near where you live? And I was like, mate, it's in my flat. Yeah. It's literally, our flat is our studio. So I want the people at home to have a little look, have a little see.
All right, we'll let you in behind the scenes, and in return, the 60% of you that aren't subscribed that watch the videos, you have to hit the subscribe button. I think that's a fair trade? Have we just swapped over to that now?
We have now swapped over, yeah.
How do the sweat patches look on that one?
Not as bad, but they're
Not
still...
as bad. They're still there, are they? All right.
There.
Right, to the listeners, you might want to go and watch this bit on YouTube.
Here's our living room. This is the set. This is the kitchen. And there is George Russell once again.
George Russell's coming on the pod today. Yeah, here's some cereal. Here's a Lego McLaren car.
Little frying pan from last night. Should have cleaned it up. Sinks a
Here's
bit
a
dirty.
disposable camera, which I had the great idea of getting loads of photos, but it hasn't left the flat yet.
Hey, nice. A few guitars over here. Oh, just went really bright. But yeah, this is the set, man. This is it. This is where we don't move for roughly 18 hours a day.
This is the whiteboard, which they cannot see.
Yeah, no one can see it. We might have to blur it because I think it was partly in. Well, really quickly, fridge talk.
Whoa!
Uh-oh. No, let's get out of there. Let's get out of there. This is the main bathroom. This is essentially Fab's bathroom because Jake's got an ensuite. So, there we go. Again.
Why don't you show the nice clean floor?
I'm not showing that. There's no way I'm showing that floor.
To be fair, it gets so dusty, there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, just, a few products, got to look beautiful from time to time.
It's a nice big bathroom, to be fair.
Yeah, little mirror. It's so dusty. Oh my god, it's incredibly dusty.
These are the wheels of Joshua Bagembe's go-kart when he won the World Championship.
Mega.
We actually should have hoovered. This is really bad.
I know.
They're going to think we live like tramps.
Toolkit, which is never used.
Well, we've got it in case we need it.
Exactly. Oh, it's a bit blurry.
This is Fab's bedroom.
Yep.
This is where Fab sleeps.
This is where some sort of magic happens. A coffee cup in the corner.
Nice.
Wardrobe. This again is incredibly dusty. I would just like to say, that this happens in about 3 days. I wipe this every week.
You can see where you cleaned it.
every damn week I clean that.
This is Fab's world map of everywhere that he's been. Look, he's been to some fascinating places.
Some cool
New
places.
Delhi, Bangalore.
Yeah.
Nice.
My favourite place over here. Just if I can get a little focus on that. Japan, America stuff. It's all good. It's all good stuff.
Okay, now this is the hallway.
There doesn't appear to be an autofocus on this because it keeps going blurry, but now you're in focus.
This is the hallway. This is the washing line. This is couldn't remember what it's called.
Doesn't use it very often.
All the stuff.
Yeah, there's a washing machine in
Random
there.
stuff.
There's a boiler in there. There's the front door.
I have an Olympic torch that I ran with in Brazil and Rio.
Mega.
I wanted to show that for a while.
Yeah,
actually.
well, now
you can
now
see it's
happening.
actually burnt on the top from where I ran with it. Pretty cool. Here's a photo of my siblings.
Oh, sweet.
Really old.
Hang on, let's just appreciate your hair there for a moment.
That was when I went for the ice gem look, mate.
Yeah, it just doesn't want to focus.
I have another photo of it.
£1,000 for a phone and it can't even focus.
Of me, my mum, and my brother. My mum loves the podcast, even though she has no idea what's going on.
Your mum's an angel, man. Your mum's like the sweetest person I think I've ever met in my life.
My mum is
These
the
are pretty
best.
cool. Talk about these.
What? There's
tops.
just some football shirts. If anyone likes football, there's Suarez, Hazard, Rooney, Ian Wright, Modric, Bale, and Ronaldinho.
My favourite ones. We're gonna get robbed, aren't we?
Yeah, probably.
We're literally gonna get robbed. We've got to
We're
start
probably
putting
gonna
bolts
get
on that door.
Some wardrobes, clothes and jazz. You know how it is.
There we go. More dust.
Yeah, more dust. And my bathroom.
I like how you put the toilet seat down. I did exactly the
Don't
same
you
thing.
dare open it. Okay, right. Let's
That's
take
all
it
good.
back.
Yeah, back to the set.
And this is from Jake Smith's baby that he's having. Shout out Jake Smith.
Oh, yeah,
he's having a boy though. I thought he was gonna have a girl.
Our best mate's having a kid.
So look after that.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the show.
Well, hope you all enjoyed that little insight behind the scenes of Pitstop.
Yeah, back on the sofas now with a little bit of breaking news.
Oh.
V10 engines are not coming back. They have confirmed it. They're not changing a thing. They're sticking with what they've got, which means 2026 could be an absolute disaster.
Well, we did know that. We did know that there was never going to be time to swap them for 26. We said 28, right?
Yeah, but they did consider it, I think, because of the problems we spoke about in the last ep. But now they've completely scrapped it. So there'll be no V10s, which means they're going to go ahead with these original
for the foreseeable.
plans.
For the foreseeable, I still believe they could come back in a few years.
Do you remember when we first started watching Formula One and cars after like 4 laps would just suddenly lose power or something and just DNF? Like for the last 2 years, no car has just like randomly dropped out of a race because they lose power or something. But at the start of the 26th season, because these cars are going to be new again, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
You know, like the leader of the race could just suddenly lose power or the car could
DNS
die.
and DNS and all this stuff. Yeah.
And I'm excited for that because I think that just adds more and more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You can see someone having a really, really good race and all of a sudden puff of smoke out the back and they're gonzo. I've got something for you.
Okay.
Could Lewis Hamilton be leaving Ferrari?
He doesn't seem happy, does he?
He doesn't seem happy, mate. Lewis is clearly not clicking with the Ferrari like he had hoped. And there's been some rumours going around, but we'll get into those later. Before I do that, I wanted to just look at his season a little bit so far. So he's currently 7th in the championship. 31 points, right? 10th in Australia, disqualified in China, 7th in Japan, 5th in Bahrain, 7th in Saudi Arabia. I don't think there's been a single interview with Lewis after a race where he's been positive or happy. Every single interview that he's been in, he's been like down and at the start he was saying it was the car, but now I think he's just coming to the realization that maybe it's just him.
Other than when he won the sprint. Somehow.
Yeah, which
he was really happy about that.
There's a bit of speculation about that.
There's a sprint in Miami. I'm going to bet on Lewis Hamilton to win, I reckon. I reckon there's something going on with that Ferrari
in the contract.
Sprint.
So after Jeddah, he said, quote, "Clearly the car is capable of being P3. Charles did a great job today. I can't blame the car." The fact of the matter is, mate, that Lewis is underperforming. And he knows that he is. And I think he's now maybe realising that it's him. Maybe not just now. At the end of last year with Mercedes, we know that he said, like, I can't qualify anymore. And he was putting a lot of blame on him, as we've seen Lando just doing to himself, kind of like being introspective and being a bit hard on yourself. I think Lewis is just kind of starting to realise that, you know, maybe if this continues, he's not going to be able to piece a season together with Ferrari. And there's rumours going around that he hasn't been attending meetings.
Really?
Much like you said about Adrian Newey, but for a different reason. He hasn't been going to these meetings that the Ferrari team are supposed to be having with their drivers. And it does make you think, you know, if we get midway through the season and Lewis is still not doing great, let's not ignore the fact that he joined Ferrari, right, as it was a bit of a passion project, wasn't it? He was like, I've always wanted to drive for Ferrari. I've always wanted to wear the red. I've always wanted to be in that Ferrari car. It's something on his bucket list that he wanted to do since joining Formula One. I don't think he was expecting to win the championship in a Ferrari, was he?
Obviously, from a fan point of view, you wanted to see that happen. And like that would be the dream, you know. This season hasn't gone how a Ferrari fan would want it to go. You know, you do want Hamilton to suddenly win every race. But you have to be realistic. For the last 2 years, when he was at Mercedes, Russell beat him.
Yeah.
You know? They're in the same car, and George Russell was beating him. George Russell was winning in Vegas. Yeah, he did win at Silverstone, which was unbelievable to be at. My personal opinion is that it is slowly just drifting away from him. But I think that's just because he has such more going on than everyone else. I heard that he's like cancelled all his appearances and everything between now and Miami so that he can focus on the race, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's normally so busy, right?
Yeah.
But we know that's not true because he's doing an appearance on Friday, which we know about in London.
Yeah, in London,
so he is still doing stuff.
Could he dip out from Ferrari mid-season? I know that he's highlighted that it's not the car, but we know that teams can craft cars towards the drivers. We've seen Red Bull do it with Max. And, you know, maybe this is more of a Charles Leclerc car. I don't really know. Maybe it's been designed around that. Maybe it doesn't suit Lewis's driving style. Maybe Lewis is getting older and maybe he is losing that edge a little bit. But maybe if he had a car which was perfect for him, then maybe he could do better. Could he just dip out from Ferrari mid-season?
It's an interesting one. I think there's too much money on the line and too many sponsors involved with Hamilton being at Ferrari for that to actually be possible.
But do you think that maybe Lewis could have thought about that before joining and put those in the contract, that if I'm not happy after midway through the season, I can still dip.
I think just because, like you said, how much he's wanted to race for Ferrari, I don't think it would be the right thing to do. You know, I think Ferrari fans would be like, what? You know, we just got Hamilton, he's dipped out after 10 races if that happened. I mean, yeah, the car might be unreal for 26 for Ferrari, so he might hang around. Maybe there's more chance of him dipping out halfway next season. If he starts the year and he's like, look, I just haven't got it. New regs, I can't even do it in the new car. Because Ferrari will be building the car for Leclerc. Because Leclerc is going to be there for a long time.
Okay, so here's one for you. Which team on the grid wants that brand awareness? Which team on the grid has lots of money? It's Aston Martin. If Aston Martin have Adrian Newey and have a great car for next year, if they can't get Max, if Fernando Alonso can't race anymore, could they possibly bring Lewis in?
Well, I'll tell you what Aston Martin could do, which would change the sport forever and instantly create the most exciting 2026. They get Max and Lewis. There you go. There you go. If Aston Martin,
bloody hell,
if they want to become the biggest thing, everyone talking about them, all they got to do is get Max and Lewis in the same team, give them both an Adrian Newey car and say, there you go. The two of the best racers ever.
Yeah.
In this one of the best cars, hopefully.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable.
It would be bonkers.
I don't think really that Hamilton will ever go anywhere else. I think it's going to be Ferrari and out. Pierre Gasly reckons he can win the World Championship in 2026. And I don't doubt it one bit. I don't doubt it one bit.
You have the faith?
Briatore, mate, the glasses, the lot. I think Mercedes engine, Alpine will be right there. Gasly is a confidence driver. Once he starts to get it, he's there. And I like that he said that because I've seen him get some stick for saying that in an interview, but we always say it. If you don't believe that you can win the World Championship as an F1 driver going into the season, you shouldn't be there. If you don't believe you can win, what is literally the point in being there?
No, they all believe they can get it, don't they?
And some of them know that they haven't got the quickest car. And
I think maybe Lance Stroll doesn't believe that he could get it.
This year.
Next year, yeah.
I honestly reckon Lance reckons as soon as Newey builds a car, he can win.
I'd love to see Gasly get it. I would. Again, another good guy. Great driver. Hasn't had the car beneath him for many years, and I just hope, I'd just love to see every car on the grid just get a lot closer and be a lot better, personally.
Yeah, it's kind of impossible to make predictions for 26 because we just don't know who's going to have what. It could completely change. Like, imagine that Audi is just unbelievable. They would have been working on that car longer than everyone else because they're not even worrying about being an F1 this year.
No, exactly.
They're just building everything for next year. Look how bad that stake is. You can tell they're not doing anything on that.
No.
They're fully prepped for 26.
Yeah. I think every single team is going to be really looking forward to next year about how they can really take advantage of everything changing. And, I think there's going to be a few sneaky things that happen as well, and a few, reading around the rules to see what teams can achieve. And I can't wait for it because to me that's the most exciting part in Formula One is when it's the unknown and people don't know what's going to happen. So they're a bit cheeky, these teams.
I like that you said that, and even Stefano Domenicali completely agreed with you. He did an interview and he says he wishes more stuff like that was happening now.
Cut from the same cloth, me and Domenicali. Yeah. If you're looking for a new FIA president, mate, here he is.
But he's right, because like the biggest problem and the main thing spoken about in the media right now is like, was that a time penalty? Should it have been 5 seconds? Should it have been 10 seconds? Really? This is a constructor sport. What we should be talking about is, why have they done that on their car, Should they are they allowed to do that? It should be more. It should be more like that.
We've seen some teams do crazy things to their cars throughout the years.
Yeah.
We've seen like turbo jets put on the back. We've seen little seagull wings attached to the
Seagull
cars.
wings is great, mate.
We've seen Red Bull with the rod. We've seen like that in our time, we've seen so many crazy things happen, and I love it. Yeah. I love it because that's the kind of sport that it is. It's not as if they're going out and playing tennis and everyone's got a racket and a ball. There are so many components that can be manipulated in Formula One, and teams should use that to their advantage. Read around the rules until you get busted.
Yeah.
What did someone say? Someone said it's much easier to get caught cheating and apologize than to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for acceptance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
So it's better for these F1 teams not to say, oh, can we do this to our car? Nah, just do it and then hold your hands up when you get busted. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, well, all the cars right now are so similar, right? Because everyone's learned from F1, copied from F1, and they've just kind of ended up with the same thing, which is always what happens at the end of regulations, apparently. But going into a new one, I wonder what some of these cars have thought. Imagine one just comes out completely different. Like, everyone's like, what on earth is that?
If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Newey.
I actually want them to look different. I know that, like, really different, you know? To the point of if they weren't painted in their colours, you actually would be able to tell that that car is theirs because of the design of that. You know, maybe like a curved wing or just something crazy.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do something different.
It's an interesting point. It's an exciting point. It really is. And I can't wait to see what happens next year. It's time that we go in to a fan favourite section of the pod. Yes. It is F1 facts that sound fake but are actually true.
Hey, my favourite segment ever.
An F1 driver's career was funded by the Beatles.
By the whole band?
Not the whole band. George Harrison, the guitar player.
On his own, he funded an F1 driver's career?
Yeah.
Whilst he was in the Beatles?
No. They had broken up by that point.
They sing Yellow Submarine, didn't they?
They do, yeah. And many other amazing hits which dominated the world. So, George Harrison was the guitarist for the Beatles, the biggest and best-selling band that has ever graced the world.
Wouldn't argue with that.
You can't, because it's statutorily correct. They sold the most amount of records ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
More than the Spice Girls?
More than the Spice Girls. More than Justin Bieber. More than Nick Jonas. I don't know why I picked him. Pretty crazy. So in the late 60s and early 70s, he became incredibly interested in Formula One. So he would attend the races. He became friends with, Jackie Stewart, Jim Clark, Emerson Fittipaldi, James Hunt, and many more people. But it wasn't just the glamour that he was attracted to, right? We see so many celebrities and stars come to F1 these days, and they come on the grid, and they don't even know what an F1 car looks like. They're just there because they got a PR invite with a brand, and they know they're going to be on camera. But for George Harrison, he was actually mad interested in how the sport works, the technicality behind it, and the competition between the drivers. He really loved that, so I respect him for that. One of the friendships that he formed was with the racing driver Graham Hill.
Okay, Damon Hill's dad.
Exactly. So he ended up having a son, one of the most prominent figures in Formula One, and a Formula One world champion, who also shares the same birthday as you, I think.
Well, not birthday, but he won in 1996, which was the year I was born.
Exactly. So fast forward to the 90s, 1992, Damon Hill makes his debut in Formula One with the Brabham Formula One team. We all know how much it costs to get into F1. Money is the biggest thing in F1. There's so many great racing drivers out there who will never get to Formula One because they don't have the cash.
Yeah.
And luckily for Damon Hill, the start of his Formula One career was funded by George Harrison of the Beatles.
Let's go. So he did have the funding.
He absolutely.
Yeah, big time. Imagine
cash.
how much the Beatles had back then.
George and Damon, they continued their relationship. They were great friends. And the cool thing is that Damon Hill is actually a musician.
Yeah.
So they had that bond.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he plays guitar. I didn't know that when we met him, but Damon Hill plays guitar, and he actually played a guitar solo on Demolition Man by Def Leppard. And I know you don't even know what that song is.
Demolition Man!
Yeah, there you go, something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the song, but I listened to the solo. It's a ripping solo,
Is
mate.
it?
It's a ripping solo. And then I got into a YouTube wormhole, and I found all these clips of Damon performing, playing guitar, and he can shred.
Wow.
He can shred.
And then he went on to become a world champion as well. So that's unbelievable to know that he got him into F1 and then he become a world champion.
I just love the crossover between music and Formula One. It's always been there. Being a musician myself, I think that's one of the coolest collaborations or the coolest crossovers.
And I love Damon because when we saw him in Imola, we walked past him and he's like, "Hi guys, I listen to you when I walk my dogs."
Yes.
We were like, "What?"
Talk the dogs. Oh, you do?
Have a laugh.
Oh, we put you back. We'll only say good things from now on then.
Say hello to my dog, Swap.
I will.
See you later, man.
Damon
Hill listens to the pod. We were like,
forget that.
that's crazy.
Wasn't that was in Silverstone?
I don't know. It was like
Wasn't
one
it?
of our first ever times seeing him, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's such a shame, right? Because I remember when one of the first times we met him.
You took his phone. You literally took his phone off him, followed Pitstop.
Yeah, but I forgot. I thought that I got his number, so I was searching through my phone book earlier trying to find him because I wanted to video call him today on the chat and see if he could speak any more about it. And I knew that we were podding in a couple hours. I knew we wouldn't have time, but I really wanted to hear his side of it. And I knew he probably wouldn't see a DM from us like anytime soon, so I didn't bother. But what I will do is I will now reach out to mutual friends and contacts, and I'll pose the question, and I'll see if he wants to come on. And if he doesn't want to, it's fine. Of course, it's fine.
We'll do everything we can. I'm going to pose a question to you.
Go on, then.
Do you think we could be F1 drivers? Or do you think it's too late?
I honestly think
Right, here we go.
with the correct amount of time and the correct training, it might take a year.
Right, anyway, before we get ourselves cancelled, the average Formula 1 driver's reaction time is 0.2 to 0.3 seconds.
You've got a bloody
I
test for
have
me.
a reaction timer here.
Yes!
We're going to have 5 goes each, and we're going to see who gets the best.
Okay, I would like to say, though, that reaction time doesn't rely solely on pressing a space bar. You know, it's also about your feet, your braking, and everything.
Look, don't ruin it for me, okay? I thought this was a great idea.
It's not a bad idea. I wouldn't say it's the greatest idea.
So all you got to do is when you press spacebar the first time, the lights will come on. And then as soon as they go out, we're going to see who can get the best after 5. So I'll do 5 first. 0.28. See, that's the average for a normal person is 0.7 to 0.8.
Oh my god, you could be.
Yeah, I know, mate.
Formula 1 driver.
This is why we're doing this, because I realised I'm really good this morning. Okay?
Oh, okay. So, right.
0.275.
Just a little insight to what Jake Boyers is like. He's found this online. He's now spent the last 4 hours in his bedroom practicing this.
0.249.
I have not tried this once, ever. And he's had all this practice this morning just to prove to you guys at home that he could be an F1 driver.
0.241. Last go, right?
Amazing, mate. Amazing. Really cool.
Yeah, well,
really,
you've got to try and beat
really,
it, mate.
Really good. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen here.
Yeah, you might be able to beat it. Who knows? Who knows? So my fastest is 0.239, which is pretty strong, I think. Here we go. Serious face is out. Serious face.
0.253.
Oh, so you are right behind me already. Here we go.
Without any practice. Just imagine what I could do if I practiced.
This man has more 99s on RuneScape than you can even imagine. So if he can convert them skills...
0.3. I'm going to give it one more and that's it.
Yeah?
255.
Good game.
That shows what good practice does.
Yeah, good game. Glad we did that one. If
yeah.
any F1 teams are watching that, here we are. Ferrari deserve a clap. They do. I'll tell you why.
What are we clapping for?
We are going to clap Ferrari because this year they have the fastest pit stop at every single race so far.
Didn't I say that in the last pod? But we'll clap it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say that is a massive accomplishment for them.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, they've had so many problems,
They've
haven't they?
accomplished something, yeah. I think, wasn't it Red Bull had the fastest ever with a 1.8?
Yeah.
Right. And the fastest this year was a 2.2. Red Bull got a 2 second flat.
Yeah.
I believe. That's pretty dang quick.
Ferrari got a 2 second flat in Saudi as well.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. That's great stats.
It's great to see Ferrari picking it up in the pit crew. So many people are leaving Red Bull, so they've had to probably change their pit crew layout a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Have you seen Callum?
Yeah.
Callum Nicholas, ex-Red Bull, has been receiving so many comments. He had to make a video about it.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying, oh, Red Bull needs you back. The pit stops haven't been the same, this, that, and the other.
I reckon Cal's on garden leave. Anyway, next
Ladies
question.
and gentlemen.
Yeah. Here's one for you. The Formula 2 leader is older than the Formula 1 leader. Yeah. right now.
We're clapping that.
Yeah, we'll clap it. Oh, why not? It sounded a bit different, isn't it? The person leading Formula 2 is older than the person leading Formula 1.
Who's leading Formula 2?
Richard Vishaw.
How old is he?
Born in 2000.
When was Oscar born?
Born in 2001. So there you go.
Wow.
How crazy. This is meant to be like the Federer series. And someone's older.
What did you just say?
Is it Feeder?
Yeah.
I just love Roger so much that I just wanted to say
Federer series.
For God's sake, right, I'm not giving you any more notes today. I can't be arsed.
That was really good. I think we've done a good job of putting an episode out of our arse, considering there's no race this weekend.
Yeah, there is no race this weekend, which is a shame. Just checking my notes to see whether there's anything else. There's a few bits and bobs. Johnny Herbert's been giving it to Christian Horner. Well, yeah. Happens every day.
Good old Johnny.
Ralph Schumacher said of questionable.
Oh god, we can't dive into any more Ralph.
No, we won't.
Really can't.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't much happening right now, so we've done our best.
I hope this fills the void for you guys at home. While there's no race this weekend, I hope this is like a nice filler. You know what I mean? Matt Gallagher's running a marathon this weekend from P1. We're going to go down and support.
Yeah, we're going to make some signs. Can't wait.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I know he won't watch this, so it doesn't matter.
No.
It's meant to be a secret, right? The signs.
Oh, really?
But I know he won't watch this, so it's fine.
He might.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell Matt Gallagher is sitting through 55
Too
minutes.
busy
of
playing
Pitstop.
RuneScape, isn't he? That new thing that come out.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you for watching Pitstop or listening to Pitstop. Hope you've enjoyed it. Like Fab said, hope this fills the gap. We will be back on Thursday. I guess there's no point us recording on Monday. There's going to be like literally nothing that happens.
Maybe not. Unless something crazy, some crazy news comes out, then maybe we'll film some extra clips, but probably not before.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping there was some crazy news for today's episode, but
Yeah, there wasn't really, was there?
we only really had that George Russell rumour, and I definitely don't think he should leave Mercedes.
Me neither. Hope you enjoyed the house tour.
Yes, hope you enjoyed the house tour. Hope we
Little-
didn't show anything too damaging.
I think we probably did. So we might have to we might have to review the footage and blur some
Few
bits.
blurs, yeah. Give a video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let's see how many we can get. You guys smashed 1,000 on the last one, which was amazing. Like we said, 60% of you aren't subscribed, which is crazy. You know, I appreciate new people are finding us all the time, but we really want you to stay. You know, it's going to be a long season, so hit that red subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and we look forward to bringing you many, many more episodes throughout the year.
Yeah, can't wait to see, hopefully the audience grow, new people join us. Just it really gets me going in the morning.
Yeah.
It's another reason to wake up every day.
Nice. Very nice. Hope you've enjoyed the 3 cameras, if we did actually manage to use 3 cameras. And yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.
See you next week!
Goodbye!